One of the most challenged books in the last decade about a transgender activist is now on the list of books in New York that elementary school kids have been encouraged to read for the summer. Joining us now, Parents Defending Education's investigative fellow, Alex Nestor. Good morning to you, Alex. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
The book is called I Am Jazz, about the childhood of transgender activist Jazz Jennings, and it's featured in the New York City Public Schools Literacy Collaborative Summer Reading Guide for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Alex, talk to us about the controversy and the uproar that's happening right now with some parents there.
Yeah, so parents are rightly concerned in New York City, and we've seen this book across the country too, because what a school does when it tells kids to read this book is it's pushing a very narrow and very controversial view on sex and gender on kids. And unfortunately, we've seen parents across the country face a lot of pushback for simply saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't be exposing kids to the idea that they can be born in the wrong body, especially at such a young age. And it's so important to teach kids respect for others based on, regardless of race, identity, religion, what have you. But what schools do when they push these types of books is they're pushing politicized narratives on sex and gender on children.
How can parents right now become aware of the reading material in their children's school libraries? What are the parental rights in this? How do they fight back?
Yeah, so parental rights vary widely by state, and even school districts have lots of different policies in terms of transparency and inclusion. But I will say some district libraries have a tool online, a search tool where you can look through the library catalog. If your school district does not have one, you can also look at your local public library. And because these libraries often take direction from the same organizations, that might give you a hint as to what is in your kid's library. But unfortunately, we're seeing, parents only start to discover these things when their kid comes home and says, hey, is it possible that people can be born in the wrong body? Which raises the question, how are these books getting in schools in the first place? Without parent involvement, without transparency, parents are having to take these extra precautions. And if there's one thing that we know from this movement is they will stop at nothing to protect their kids.
Alex, even those who support this book also say it fails to mention the mental health challenges and the many struggles that Jazz has had with gender transition there. So why do you think that was left out of the book?
Well, look, Jazz is one of the co-authors. Jazz was 14 when this book was published, and that has to be incredibly hard for a child to talk about, especially because you have a community of people that you trust saying that these treatments will make you happy. And, there are institutions from our schools, medical institutions, mental health institutions that are pushing, this one view on sex and gender. And if you disagree with that, if you question the medical efficacy of some of these treatments, you can be made out to be a hateful, ugly bigot. And unfortunately, that is exactly what has happened to some detransitioners. So, while schools are pushing this narrative, it's really unfortunate that they're not telling kids the full story here.
Parents Defending Education's investigative fellow, Alex Nestor, great talking to you this morning. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.